My name is Christopher Peter. I am the political economist behind the Christopher Peter Review. I wanted to do a special episode before the official launch of this new podcast series. As you may have known from my blog, I am a big sports fan. Die-hard supporter of the Philadelphia Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, and Union. Absolutely love my Philly sports teams. Philly fans have been spoiled, and a bit cursed at the same time. Our Phillies made a surprised run to the World Series but came up short. I was just hoping they would finally end the playoff drought. So, the pennant was all gravy. Our Eagles outperformed preseason expectations to run through the NFC before losing a heartbreaker to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Sixers look good as the NBA seasons draw towards the postseason. It would be an awfully cruel fate if we did make it to the finals and not win it. The Flyers made it clear early that this was not our year. They left no bones about it. But they are going through changes and hopefully rebuild back into that consistent organization that used to be a perennial participant in the playoffs. But now we turn our attention to the start of the 2023 baseball season that is officially underway. Baseball is traditionally viewed as America's pastime. It is the sport many of us grew up playing in Little League, high school, or other leagues. I remember playing center field emulating my favorite Phillies player Lenny Dykstra, except I used chewing gum, not tobacco. It is in our collective DNA as American sports fans. Major League Baseball is America's oldest professional sports league. Unfortunately, baseball has failed to connect with key demographics as it is now the professional sports league with the oldest audience by far. Americans have changed their preference in sports to football. The NFL has been the league that has best managed tradition with innovation, keeping generations of fans and adding new ones at the same time. It is a marketing machine. But I do believe that baseball can have a resurgence and can recapture the summer love that us diehards continue to have with a sport that has taught us so many important lessons. For a while, baseball was the most conservatively managed sport in America. Baseball fans care greatly about tradition, the hallowed records, and the historic nature of the ballparks that host the games. Greatness is achieved statistically with greatness over time, not through a YouTube highlight reel. While many other sports make quick knee-jerk reactions hoping to catch the fleeting attention of an overstimulated sports market, baseball has been cautious in its approach. But I think the recent changes implemented by Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, along with his leadership team, will enable our beloved league to recapture its magic and appeal and bring new fans back to the game. The first change I think that we can all agree on was a resounding success is the increased number of wildcard teams. Last year, the Phillies made the playoffs in that final wildcard spot, reaching the World Series from a postseason berth that would not have been available if not for the change. Baseball has the most games played compared to any other sports league. Traditionally, baseball teams have the most difficult path towards the postseason, based solely on spots available versus teams in play. For the NFL, your favorite team had almost a 38% chance of making the postseason prior to last season. Now, with its own expanded wildcard team, fans can now experience a greater than 40% chance of seeing their team in the playoffs. Now, basketball has a 2/3 chance of making some form of postseason play, factoring in the play-in tournament. Hockey, you have over a 50% chance of reaching the postseason. Before the increased wild cards, your favorite team had a just 27% chance of making the postseason, when there were the original 3 division winners and 1 wildcard team. Now, it still has the most difficult path, but closer aligned to the other leagues with the probability at 40%. Of course, there are factors that can change these probabilities, but even on a completely level field, your favorite team used to have a long-shot chance at reaching the World Series. Now, baseball teams can keep their fan bases engaged beyond the summer and into the fall because most teams have a realistic shot and stay in contention if they can overcome a period of poor play. In the past, many fans knew by the middle of May that their favorite team would be selling their favorite player at the end of July. Now there are less teams willing to part with stars because they may still have a mathematical chance of reaching the postseason. Despite coming up short, baseball fans should realize that your team just needs a shot. Maybe the continued play as they navigate the wild card round will afford them the ability to stay locked in and make the Fall Classic, while the rested teams come out rusty or disengaged. The rules that were implemented this year I believe will further help garner interest with peripheral fans or casual fans. The rules to speed up the game with a pitch clock and the requirement for the batter to pay attention to the game will help maintain the flow of the game and may make the game more focused on athleticism and instinct than execution of an analytically devised game plan. Analytics is always a benefit, but fans do not want to watch what essentially becomes a computer-simulated game. The ban on the shift is a blessing as well. Even when you attend games, it was pretty annoying that the defense would completely line up with where the batter's tendencies are. Even in football, which is highly analytical, There is a required balance in formations. Now we will see players really show they can play defense and track batted balls. And the pace of play will be one that allows the games to fit in that traditional window of 3 hours max for a sports event. I think baseball will have a better product and more convenient experience for the fans. There is really nothing like going to a baseball game, especially during the week. I love going to Citizens Bank Park for Dollar Dog Night. An experience that I hope to soon restart. I hope that you take time and see what baseball has to offer. It is truly a great game. Another event that I felt was very interesting in the sports market was the merger between the top real combat sports company and the leading sports entertainment company, announced on the Monday morning after WrestleMania. I believe this is a great situation for both brands, which have the great potential to take advantage of a large amount of synergy between their respective fan bases. If you are a fan of combat sports, you probably should find wrestling interesting as well. Many sports fans at one point were fans of wrestling at one point in their lives. Who did like watching Hulk Hogan Hulk up and wrestle Andre the Giant, the Macho Man, or other greats? Stone Cold Steve Austin changed the sport and gave it the edge that it needed to show that wrestling was not only for children. There are those who will say wrestling is scripted versus the real action in mixed martial arts, which I do not deny. But both offer great levels of storytelling leading up to their events. Long before fighters enter the octagon, there are many passionate storylines that may lead you to connect to one corner or the other, building that anticipation and anxiety to see who prevails in these matchups. Especially in some fights where statistically you may feel there is a clear projected winner that was inevitable from the start. But the storylines and build-up make the upsets so much more entertaining than once could ever imagine. Fans of MMA love to see the journey of their favorite starts, drawing interests in content like The Ultimate Fighter or the Contender Series. The UFC does a fantastic job of creating matchups that people want to see and giving the audience what it deserves. There is no organization that is able to create spectacles like World Wrestling Entertainment, better known as WWE. Although it is scripted, the leading professional wrestling promotions create events, storylines, and build-ups that draw the audience in. Even in an environment with social media and other avenues for fans to get a closer look at the happenings of their favorite superstars, the entertainment giant always finds new ways of connecting with a diverse global audience and still leaves them in awe. Interesting to see the emotions fans have for scripted matches. For instance, the reaction to the outcomes of Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. While you may understand that you are watching what really is a live performance, you cannot help but react when the script does not go along with your internal script. I think wrestling fans have storyline outcomes that they want to see come to fruition, so they are drawn in to be proven right. But appreciate the unexpected at times. The best path forward for both brands is to have some level of separation in brand management, which is the path forward. CEO Ari Emanuel already put out that both brands will maintain their independence to operate with autonomy. But we can all imagine the many crossover opportunities. MMA fighters can gain notoriety by doing a run in wrestling during their break in action. We should look forward to what this new 21 billion plus valued combined entity has in the future. Only time will tell whether all the hopes that many of us have for this apparently unstoppable entity will actually realize their potential. I think they will. Now, I thank you for experiencing this special episode. Next Monday, on April 10th, please join me once again for another episode of the Christopher Peter Podcast, here on the CRC channel. Also, please experience my new podcast episode on the Christopher Peter Review, where I lead a discussion on the importance of real solutions to solve our real societal problems. Please continue to visit the CRC channel for more featured content from Christopher Peter Review and the Christopher Peter Podcast. Thank you, and until next time.